Stockholm Convention has this spirit and atmosphere of trying its best.
Enthusiastically supported by all of the stakeholders.
As one of the successful conventions.
Is actually doing globally what it set out to do.
It helps to achieve the SDG goals.
It was always inclusive. It wasn't just for us, it was for everybody.
20 years ago, the adoption of a global agreement to address persistent organic pollutants opened a new and much-needed pathway to protect people and nature. Starting with over 12 chemicals, which have come to be known as the Dirty Dozen. At its 20th anniversary, the Stockholm Convention now covers over 30 persistent organic pollutants. The science-based approach, owned by all stakeholders, has also successfully raised the bar for other conventions and continues to look ahead to address global challenges. Making the invisible visible continues to be the main theme in communicating this important issue to everyone. It therefore gives me great pleasure to launch this series, 20 videos called 20 Voices for 20 years of the Stockholm Convention.
I would say the convention exceeds my expectations, but there's always this fear when you create a treaty like this. And so you wonder, are we going to be able to add new chemicals to this treaty? And are we going to actually be able to add chemicals with economic value? And what's happened is we've gone from a dozen to almost 3 times that number of chemicals now.
Probably December 2000 in Johannesburg at the last INC at about 8:30 in the morning, when I asked the question whether the meeting was prepared to accept the text of the treaty as they just negotiated. And there was a silence, and then there was one country who raised one minor objection, and we were able to overcome that in a matter of minutes, and then the treaty was adopted. The emotional release when we realized we had done it was the most exhilarating thing I think I'd ever experienced.
And today we have 184 parties that have signed the convention, which means that it's almost all the countries of the planet.
If someone today asked me, so what's the Stockholm Convention about and what's the important part? I think you in a way, you have the answer in the objective. It's very simple. It's about, being mindful of the precautionary approach and to protect human health and environment from persistent organic pollutions.
These chemicals don't respect any borders. We do need to collaborate and to work together.
So these are chemicals that we encounter every day. Our children, our aged population, vulnerable populations encounter them, and they have effects on them because they are found everywhere. In the home, the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe. These are all pathways of carrying pods into our bodies and into the environment.
I brought, for example, a carving of an Inuit woman with her child that was carved from my region, a traditional carving, Inuit carving, and presented it to Klaus Topfer, who was the executive director of UNEP at the time. And he in turn presented it to John Buccini, who was the chair from Canada, who chaired these incredible negotiations so successfully, and it followed us to every country that we were negotiating thereafter. And John Buccini would say, when he would get very tired, he would just need to look at the carving and sitting in front of him and know who he was doing this for. That it was for the children, it was for, the mothers of the world.
When we see problems on the ground, we take that to the convention and suggest our ideas and also to participate in the negotiation process.
The work of the civil society organizations is crucial for the success of the Stockholm Convention, both in terms of generating new data as well as providing awareness to the governments themselves.
Our region is very different countries, but main challenges are the same.
dealing with the environmental issue, one country cannot achieve the objective. We need to come together, so we work as a group.
We have moved from like the dirty dozen in the beginning to another, is it 18 substances? Lately also, it has not been just substance by substance, but groups of substances, which is a very cost-effective way to address things. Every time when you list a new substance, you always feel like you have taken one step further on the road.
First, we have the access to information in terms of from the pop rock. The information is made available to all the parties through the COPs, and then all the parties will get to know what POPs are and which ones have been newly identified through the pop rock, which is a very important committee in terms of it being the one generating the science for the convention.
And the Global Monitoring Plan tries to compile the best available information on POPs. It was established in 2004, it started working in 2006, and we are now finalizing the third report now. Under the Stockholm Convention, there is an article which is sort of innovative on effectiveness evaluation, asking the countries to develop first a method or a joint operation to get comparable and trustable data from all over the world on levels of POPs in the environment and humans.
We are one of the examples that we are working for is the GMP. And for example, we have found persistent pollutants in breast milk.
Of course, Stockholm Convention, it is one of the stronger regime in the chemical management and in the international treaty. Due to that, they have a very strong subsidiary body like POPROC, it is Persistent Organic Pollutants Review Committee, plus that they have also financial mechanism to eliminate the chemicals that we are listing in the convention.
The JEF has been extremely successful in mobilizing around $1.6 billion in activities that are totally aligned with the objectives of the convention. We at the JEF, we're very proud to feel that the work that we do with the Stockholm Convention and the other chemicals and waste conventions has been so successful, so productive, and we feel proud that the results are evidence.
Also want to recognize the importance of the triple planetary crisis in the work that we do and the linkages that exist between biodiversity, climate change, and waste and chemicals management.
In my view, the Stockholm Convention has been very successful. That has worked efficiently and actually produced results.
Bringing us forward into the future, having a more strategic outlook as it relates to the implementation of our chemicals and waste agenda to protect, of course, human health and the environment.
My dream, a planet free of POPs. Really now we have more trained people. We have more equipment, mobile units to help us to identify the POPs, to know our situation, real situation, and to get rid of these POPs from our country. So it is successful. You can feel my heart. I really feel it like that.
I would say the greatest thing in my entire career has been the pleasure of working with committed people from foreign governments around common environmental goals, and working with just a wonderful Secretariat staff who was so dedicated and still is so dedicated to achieving the results hoped for by these treaties.
This is not a local problem. This is a global problem. If it is a global problem, the solution must be global. I think POPs has a very bleak future. I mean, the future of the Stockholm Convention is very much clear, positive, and promising.